If I was still doing the DNU videos, which for my newcomers means Dumb Negroes United, Henry Ruggs would definitely be qualified, more than qualified, to be an entry in that roster. Now, before I get into it, let me give you like a little bit of a backstory of who this guy is. Henry Ruggs, he now used to play for the Las Vegas Raiders, and he was released following a very bad accident that he was involved in that was pretty much all his fault. So what happened was Henry Ruggs got drunk and he got into his car and was driving 156 miles an hour, in a residential neighborhood, in which he ended up in a collision or ended up hitting someone. Well, either way, either a collision or he hit someone. Either way, a person died from his recklessness. And I think the person also had a dog, and I think the dog died too. My thing is, how in the world are you able to drive 156 miles an hour in a residential neighborhood? Like, that right there completely blows my mind. Like, do you know how narrow the lanes are, or not the lanes, but the streets are in a residential area for you to drive that fast? That is almost virtually impossible. How is that? Because most residential neighborhoods, like, I think the speed limit for most residential neighborhoods is probably no more than 10, 15 at most. And this guy did 156. I could not believe how fast he was going when I read that. That was right there is actually what prompted me to make this video, was just hearing that alone. But he's actually facing some serious jail time. Like they said, he's facing about 20 years in prison at the minimum, which means there's possibility that he could get more because he was like there was so many violations. This guy was driving that fast in a residential neighborhood. He was under the influence and someone died along with their dog. So he has a body on his hands. So yeah, he's going to look into some serious jail time, and 9 times out of 10, he will most likely have to do it. Like, there's really, like, it's not like he lost control of the car and he was sober. If he was sober, well, first off, if he was sober and still did this, he would, and the same scenarios played out, like someone still died and everything like that, he still would have faced jail time. But it made it even worse because he was under the influence when he was doing it. My thing is this, and I'm going to echo something that somebody said on Twitter about this. Why don't these celebrities or public figures or athletes, if they know that they're going to get lit, why not just get a driver or take a party bus or something, or, you know, something like that where someone else is driving and then you can get as lit as you want to be and everybody can get home safe? Like, why would you risk your life and endanger others to live life in the fast lane? He's lucky himself that he's alive going that fast, because he could have died. 156 miles an hour. Oh my God. I don't know how fast NASCAR drivers go, or those formula cars. I forgot what they're called. You know, the cars I'm talking about. But them cars go fast, and I think the Formula 1 cars go even faster. But that's how fast he was going in a residential area. Let me just go ahead and get into the article coming from the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Former Raiders wide receiver Henry Ruggs made his initial court appearance wearing a neck brace and sitting in a wheelchair Wednesday, a day after Las Vegas police accused him of driving impaired and causing a fiery crash that killed a woman. Chief Deputy District Attorney Eric Bauman said Ruggs was traveling at 156 miles an hour about 2 seconds before the crash. He was at 127 miles an hour when the airbags deployed. So the airbags deployed before he even hit the maximum before he crashed. That's how fast he was going, that the airbags ended up deploying before impact. That is insanely fast. Now, let me just put something out there for you. if I have any people who live in the tri-state area, which of course is like New York, New Jersey, that area, there's an amusement park up there called Six Flags Great Adventure. And they have a roller coaster at that park called King Daikai. And it's the fastest, tallest roller coaster in the world. And it has a launch that goes off at 128 miles an hour. I've been on that ride twice. It's a very fun ride. Gets the adrenaline pumping. So if I'm in the launch of that ride, that's how fast he was going in his car. That's fast. Let me tell you, 120. And the thing is, it takes also fast. You literally go from 0 to 128 in like 2.5. That is extremely fast to go at that much speed in that quick of time. When I went and did skydiving, it was about the same speed when we jumped out of the plane. Mind you, I did not jump by myself. I had an instructor with me. I was attached to someone. That's about the same speed. And I'm free falling out of the air. So I'm just giving y'all some examples of positions I've been in when I've gone the same speed he did. But the difference between me and him is I wasn't drunk behind the wheel of a car going that fast in a residential neighborhood that ended up killing someone. And I was very sober both instances for the examples that I gave. I cannot recall a speed that high in my career on the bench, Justice of the Peace Joe Bonaventure said. The judge then ordered a $150,000 bail for Ruggs and the highest level of electronic monitoring if he is released. Prosecutors had requested a $1 million bail. $150,000 is really, really light for what he did. Like, he should have either got no bail or made that thing even higher. But the thing is, with the money he was making, I'm sure that he would have been able to pay it either way. Now, I don't know how long he's been playing in the NFL. Maybe someone can let me know down in the comments. Bauman said Ruggs' blood alcohol level was 0.16%, which is twice the legal limit for drivers in Nevada, and a loaded gun was found in the car. Another charge. This guy's stupid. I'm sorry. I just have to say he's dumb. He is dumb. This is a very tragic and sad day in this community, Clark County District Attorney Steve Wolfson told reporters after the hearing. A woman lost her life. Another person perhaps lost his career, perhaps is going to prison. This was a very, very ugly day yesterday morning. Ruggs, age 22, only 22. He is 10 years younger than me, which means he was born in 1999. Unless he just turned 22 and he was born in 2000. That is, whew. Okay, he said he was booked Tuesday afternoon at the Clark County Detention Center and will face charges of DUI resulting in death and reckless driving, according to the Metropolitan Police Department records. Wolfson said Ruggs may face additional charges related to the gun found in his car and injuries suffered by his girlfriend, who was a passenger in the car. Prosecutors had not formally charged Ruggs as of Wednesday morning. Police said Ruggs was speeding while driving a 2020 Chevrolet Corvette north on Rainbow Boulevard just before 3:40 a.m. Tuesday. His girlfriend Kilgo Washington, who goes by the name Rudy Washington, was in the car with him. According to police, Ruggs veered into the right lane and slammed into the back of a 2013 RAV4, which burst into flames and trapped the driver inside. The 23-year-old driver died at the scene. A police report released on Wednesday identified the Vegas as Tina Tinsor. Prosecutors said a dog also was killed in the crash. Both Ruggs and his girlfriend were taken to University Medical Center with serious injuries, Metro said. Wolfson said he was told that Ruggs had suffered leg injuries and that Washington had suffered a wrist injury. David Chesnoff, one of Ruggs' defense attorneys, told reporters outside the courtroom that he and co-counsel Richard Schoenfeld are conducting their own investigation into the crash. We are going to adjudicate in the courtroom, Chesnoff said. We are not going to adjudicate it on the street. As Chesnoff spoke to reporters, an unidentified man yelled, "Shameful and shameful to protect that guy." Chesnoff responded, "It's America and people are entitled to lawyers." Shortly before 9 p.m. Tuesday, the Raiders Twitter account posted that Ruggs has been released from the team. And they said this is currently a developing story. And this article was actually posted on November 3rd, 2021. I do not feel bad for him. I cannot turn a blind eye and just look away from bad behavior. There is no way in hell that you can sit here and try to excuse this. To that person who was yelling at him saying that it's shameful to defend him, he's absolutely right. He knew better. He's an adult, and he apparently is not a responsible one either. He's 22. So a woman died, her dog died, and it finds out that he had a loaded gun in the car. He was intoxicated, going 156 miles an hour in a residential neighborhood. His girlfriend was in the car. I think I said the gun was in the car. It was 4 casualties that could have happened that night. 2 of them happened, the woman and her dog. The other 2 could have been his girlfriend and his goofy ass. He's extremely lucky. She is too. Wow. And my thing is this. I have questions to ask her. Why would you let your man get behind the wheel of a car intoxicated? Why didn't you have the keys unless she was lit too? Because that's probably going to come up. Was she intoxicated? Because if she was not, then they're going to be like, well, why didn't you drive? And if she was intoxicated, why didn't y'all just get an Uber or a Lyft? And then, because I'm sure his car might have been parked in a secure location. If y'all were that intoxicated, y'all could have just took another Uber and Lyft back to the location or had someone go get the car for you. But now the car is done. The car is pretty much totaled. That's done. His career is done. I wonder how long she's going to stick by his side unless she's been there from the beginning. But, he's pretty much done too, because he's probably going to go to jail. And he said a fiery crash, which means there was an explosion of some sort. Or at least some kind of ignite that happened with involving a fire. Something was on fire. This kind of reminds me of the story that came out of California with Tony Baker. If y'all don't know who Tony Baker is, he's a comedian, stand-up, pretty funny guy. He ended up losing his oldest son a few months back because they were drag racing in California and in a residential neighborhood, which they shouldn't be drag racing in a residential neighborhood anyway. And his son and his 2 friends were in a car, and I guess they came out while they were drag racing, because you'll never know the person is drag racing until you actually hear it or see it. And it was like I guess it was a blind. They thought it was clear, and boom, the person came and smashed right into him. And I saw the pictures of the car. That thing looked like a crushed soda can, because them drag races are going extremely fast. And unfortunately, his son ended up dying right there at the scene. And when I looked at how the car looked, I was like, oh my God. And I think his friends died too. If I'm not mistaken, or one of the friends died and the other one was listed in critical condition. And it's sad because I remember watching some of Tony Baker's videos a couple years ago, and he had his sons on there because he had 2 sons. And I remember seeing his oldest son on there with his younger son. And I'm like, wow, because his oldest son was 20, around the same age as this fool that you see in this picture. But yeah, people are stupid out here, and he's one of them. I feel absolutely nothing from him. If they throw the book at him, so be it. So be it. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments. I wanted to come on here and add this update in here, and it's a good thing I haven't at the time I haven't uploaded this video yet, because this update just recently came along on November 10th, 2021, which is when I'm recording this. Now, the video initially, the part before this, was recorded a couple days ago, and basically the update is saying that he is facing up to 50 years in prison due to the incident that killed that woman whose name is Tina Tinsor. I'm going to read what it says in this article. It says Henry Ruggs III did not appear at his arraignment on Wednesday at Las Vegas Regional Justice Center, where he was formally charged with 5 counts relating to a fatal traffic incident on November 2nd. Attorneys David Chesnoff and Richard Schoenfeld represented Ruggs before Justice of the Peace Susan Balcom. A former Las Vegas Raider and Alabama wide receiver was charged with driving under the influence of alcohol and or a controlled or prohibited substance resulting in death. driving under the influence of alcohol and or controlled or prohibited substance and resulting in death or substantial bodily harm, reckless driving and resulting in the death or substantial bodily harm, reckless driving resulting in death or substantial bodily harm, possession of a gun under the influence of alcohol or drugs. The driving charges are felonies. The gun charges are misdemeanor. After the court proceedings, Clark County District Attorney Steve Wolfson outlined what Ruggs would face if convicted. The bare minimum would be 2 years in prison, up to as much as somewhere in the 50 range. These are non-probational offenses, so the felony DUI charges, if Mr. Ruggs is convicted, he can't get probation. He must get a prison sentence. And the rest of it pretty much just goes into what we already discussed. So this is the only update right here. And now this is a more recent picture of him compared to the one that you saw before when he was in his uniform. But this is the one that's more recent where he was actually appeared in court initially. And as you can see, you know, he has a neck brace on and he's sitting down. He's not standing because currently, because of the injuries he sustained from the accident, he's in a wheelchair. I don't think he's not paralyzed, but his legs are kind of messed up to the point where, you know, he can't stand or walk at the moment. But this is just, like I said, this is just messed up all the way around. You know, it's messed up that, you know, that woman died, and it's messed up that this guy messed up his career being reckless. Like, I cannot bring myself to feel bad for him at all. Like, he's going to have to deal with the consequences. He's 22. He had his whole future ahead of him, and this is how he chose to act. Like, I wonder what's like really running through his mind right now. Just thinking that it's a possibility I can go to jail for a very long time. Now, they said at the minimum he can get 2 years. He better hope that all he can get is that minimum, but I'm going to be honest. If that woman's family has anything to say about it, they're going to push that he gets way more than 2 years. So if there's any more updates to add to this between now and the time I upload this video, then I will just throw that in here after this.